How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I wanted to talk about the surprisingly simple truth about quitting drinking alcohol. Now, you might have heard me saying this before, but the actual process of quitting drinking alcohol is really, really simple, right? You don't put the alcohol into your mouth. I mean, I say this at the end of almost every video that I've done in the last year at least, is don't put the alcohol in and you've quit, right? You know, stay safe, keep the alcohol out of your mouth, onwards and upwards, right? And that's basically all there is to the actual process of quitting drinking alcohol is, you know, not putting it in, because you are the one, at the end of the day, that has to physically lift the glass, right, up to your mouth. You have to physically, first of all, go down and buy the stuff, right? You have to bring it home. You have to unpack it. You have to get yourself settled down. You have to get yourself into a position where you can drink. You have to open the bottle. You have to pour it out. And at the end of the day, you know, this can all be done by somebody else. But the fact is that in order for you to drink, in order for you to have an alcohol problem, you alone have to physically lift the glass. I mean, even that can be done by somebody else, but you have to physically allow each drop to go into your mouth, and you have to swallow each mouthful, right? You know, like I say, everything else can be done by somebody else. You know, everything else, if you're super rich, you can have somebody even lifting the glass up and putting it into your mouth, you know, pouring it into your mouth. But you have to physically swallow each drop. You know, you have to open your mouth, you have to accept it into your mouth, and you have to, you know, most of us are not rich, so we have to physically go down to the shops, we have to physically buy the stuff, we have to, you know, so there's all this period of time that it takes us to do that it takes us to think about what we're going to drink, go out and buy it, or go down to the pub and order it, or whatever it is that you're doing. You know, there's a process between you thinking it and you actually putting it into your mouth. And in order for you to have a problem with this, you've got to do this over and over and over and over and over again, right? And that's the only way that you're going to stop doing this. The only way that you're going to stop doing this is to not put the alcohol in, right? To never put the alcohol into your mouth again, ever, right? And I know that's a daunting idea, but when you look at it, when you break it down, it's exactly the same way as you found developed your alcohol taste, your alcohol habit in the first place, was you did it one drink at a time. So you drank a drink, you drank a mouthful, you drank another mouthful, you drank another mouthful. So not even one drink at a time, it's one mouthful at a time, one sip at a time, right? So the only secret, the only real simple truth to quitting drinking alcohol is you do not put any more into your mouth. And it cannot be simpler than that, you know? So why do people not do this? Why do people insist on continuously putting the stuff into the mouth regardless of what's happening to them physically, regardless of what's happening to them in their lives, regardless of what's happening to their minds, to their relationships, to their jobs, to, you know, and they can see all this happening, but they continuously carry on doing what they know is hurting them. You know, it's hurting not only them, but it's hurting other people as well. You know, one of the biggest problems that people face when they quit drinking alcohol is they focus their minds on the alcohol instead of on something else, right? They focus their minds on how much they love to drink, how much alcohol drinking is a part of their lifestyle, how much this habit has become a part of them over the years, how much it's become a part of who they think they are personally, who they think they are within the community, you know, maybe even within their families or whatever it is, right? And they mourn the loss, you know, they look at the loss of alcohol as something which is bad, it's sad, it's something which they think about consistently and continuously, right? And this creates a big barrier, because what you focus on is what you get in this life, right? If you focus on alcohol, then that's what you're going to get, right? If you focus on alcohol, I mean, even if you don't ever drink, you know, if you leave it for a month or leave it for 2 months or whatever it is. It's one of the things that sort of creates the perception in people's minds that moderation is okay, that once they've stopped drinking for 2 or 3 months, that they can go back and moderate, that it's okay to go back and moderate, that they can handle things now because they're in this new frame of mind, right? They know that they're feeling really good because they haven't been drinking, they're sleeping better, their relationships are better, they're physically able to do more things because they've got more time, they've got more money, etc., 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 right? And from that place where they're feeling better, then they've forgotten about what happened 2 months ago or 3 months ago. They've forgotten what were the reasons why they started out on this whole process, and they no longer see the pain, the misery, and they start to think to themselves, well, I've got a handle on this alcohol now. This is what it's like to have control over alcohol. So maybe I can go back and I can have a drink. I feel like I can do that. I feel like I can go back and I can have 1 or 2 drinks and that's it, I can moderate. And a lot of people do go back to that. But they last only a short amount of time because, that 2 or 3 drinks is when you start out, you're trying to prove something to yourself, right? You're trying to prove that you can do this, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm under the power, and you haven't had any alcohol in a long time, so you take the first couple of drinks, and maybe 2 or 3 is enough, and that's enough for you. But once you start to get back into the routine of it again, and the rituals of it again, it doesn't take your body very long, your mind very long, to come back into the behavior. The rituals come back very quickly. The behavior starts to creep back in. You start to drink more, and you drink more, and you drink more often. And the habit is just there waiting to come back in. It's all the wiring inside your mind, that's already there. So what I'm saying is that a lot of people, when they're looking at their future, they spend too much time looking behind them at their past for a goalpost, right? For a guide of where they want to go. Now, if you look behind you at your past, let's say if you're drawing your own picture, right, of where you want to be in the past, right? And if you face backwards into your life that's gone, you've very little room to add new things because you're always looking to your past for guidance, right? So you've very little room to maneuver. But if you turn around and you forget about the past, and if you focus on the future, you've got a blank canvas, right? You're not relying on what's happened in the past for guidance. You're relying on what you see in your brain now, what you understand about your life now, and what it's driving you to achieve, and the goals that you're trying to set. And you have no barriers, you've no obstacles in your way. You've got a blank canvas in front of you that you can put anything down onto. If you face backwards, you're restricted by what you've done in the past. So, well, I didn't do that before, so I can't do that now. Or I did it this way before, so maybe I can alter it a little bit. So that's what you're stuck with, is altering the past in slightly different ways in order to try and move on to the future. If you look into the future as a blank canvas, you've got no such restrictions. You can do whatever the fuck you want, it's open to your own interpretations. It's open to your own dreams and your own future reality, not the past reality. When you're trying to build your new life, when you're trying to get rid of alcohol out of your life, don't focus on the alcohol. The alcohol is like the car that's getting you from A to B, right? You could hop into your own car and you get from A to B. You could hop into somebody else's car and you could take the same journey, right? You could buy a new car and you could take the same journey. You could get on a bike and you could take the same journey. You get on a bus and take the same journey. Do you know what I mean? So the transportation, the way that you get there, can be anything. So alcohol can get you from A to B, and it's only the means, the tool that you've used in the past to get you from A to B. So you have to think about, where do I really want to be in my life? What is the ultimate goal? Why am I drinking alcohol? And look for alternative ways of getting you to that end destination, right? And you've to, when you finish alcohol, when you quit drinking alcohol, alcohol, the behavior of drinking, all the rituals and the thinking and the actual behavior itself, and the whole habit, when you look at the habit as a whole, it takes up so much real estate within your mind, right? Thinking real estate, right? It takes up so much time and energy from your life. It takes up so much of your decisions and your choices, and it takes up a lot of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis, right? So once you pull the alcohol behavior out of that, and you stop doing the drinking, then you've got holes, you've got gaps that you've got to fill, right? You've got gaps in your thinking, you've got gaps that used to be alcohol rituals, you've got gaps that were the individual behaviors, right? So the behaviors of going to get your drinking, your alcohol, actually sitting there and drinking it, and then you've got the behaviors of whatever you did when you were overcoming the alcohol, right? These are all part and parcel of the whole behavior, right? Of the whole habit, right? So each of these individual behaviors all fix into that one habit, and they're going to leave gaps. So you have to fill those gaps, and you have to think about that. That's going to be your toughest thing. But as I said, with anything else, it's like with the drinking. It's a gradual, slow, step-by-step process, right? It's not anything that can be done in one big fell swoop, you can't give up drinking forever. It's just impossible. You can't do that, right? You have to give it up now, and you have to give it up tomorrow, and you have to give it up the next day and the next day. And if you focus on the alcohol and you keep on focusing on the alcohol, then you're going to have to keep quitting drinking alcohol every fucking single day, right? For the rest of your life. And that's what happens when people go to organizations like the AA and they stand up there and say to people over and over and over again, I'm an alcoholic, right? I have a problem with alcohol. I give away my power to something outside of me, right? That's what happens. Is it lodges inside your mind that the problem of alcohol is in here, right? It's not out here. It's not something that you're doing, but it's a part of you. And it's not a part of you. It's a behavior. It's a habit. It's just like any other behavior. It's like biting your fingernails, right? It might be a much more destructive. I mean, you can bite your fingernails and you can keep biting them, but the only thing you're going to destroy are your fingertips, right? And maybe, it might affect you when you're doing your job, You might not be able to, if you've got a job that requires dexterity, that's going to affect how you operate your hands. Alcohol, on the other hand, that behavior of alcohol is going to affect so much more about your life. But it's the same thing. It's just a habit. It's a behavior. And you have to accept that it's a part of the behavior. And you have to accept also that you have got the power, and only you have got the power to change that behavior. Nothing outside of you has got the power. I mean, you sitting there and hoping that some deity is going to help you is ludicrous. You're living in cloud cuckoo land if you're thinking that. Because at the end of the day, no matter where you go, no matter what help you get, you have to physically do this yourself. Even if you go to AA, you have to physically get up every day, and you have to make sure that you don't drink. You have to physically do that for yourself. You can't expect anyone else to do that, and they won't do it for you. If you focus your mind away from the alcohol and onto your future, onto something that you want to get in your future, then eventually you're going to find, it might take you a month, some people. It might take some people 2 months, 3 months. It might take 6 months. It might take some people a year, right? But you will find eventually that you will get up and you will go about your day, and you will do all the other things that you need to do. You'll socialize, you'll sleep, you'll commiserate, you'll do everything that you need to do in your life that you used to do with alcohol, and you won't think about alcohol anymore. It won't be in your head because you're not focusing on it. And that's the simple truth about it is, at the end of the day, the alcohol is just a means to an end, right? It's just a tool which got you from A to B, from being not being able to sleep to being able to sleep, from not being able to relax to relaxed, to not being able to socialize to being able to socialize, right? The B is your journey, the destination is what you want to achieve, the reward from drinking, right? The reason why you're doing it is that's why you're doing it in the first place, and the in-between bit is your behavior, right? It's the actual alcohol drinking. I'm going on a bit much on this, but it all boils down to the same thing. You can only do this bit by bit by bit. You can take it bit by bit by bit. But if you don't focus your mind away from the alcohol, you're always going to be hooked into it. You're always going to be wanting to drink. You're always going to think that you're missing out on something. Whereas if you focus your mind elsewhere on what you can do without alcohol, you start to prove it to yourself over and over and over again. Every day you get up, you prove to yourself, well, I don't need alcohol. After a month, you'll find that you're starting to sleep without alcohol. That's all I'm going to say today. Focus your mind on where you want to go rather than where you've been, right? Focus your mind, and you will convince yourself day after day after day that being without alcohol is a good thing for you, that it's giving you what you need in life. So I'm going to leave it there. If you have any questions at all, give us a shout over at the website. It's alcoholmastery.com. Also, if you want to come over there, we've got the Quit Alcohol Starter Pack for anyone who's starting out on this journey. There's a couple of different video courses. There's one called Alcohol Reframed, which is a sort of a day-by-day course. You'll get this over 30 days, and it basically goes through a lot of the different propaganda, right? The brainwashing that we've had over all of our lives towards alcohol, and tries to reprogram you a little bit, right? To put new ideas into your head and try and focus your mind in a different way. Then there's one called Steps to Quitting Drinking Alcohol, which is, I think it's 5 parts to that. And each of those come with a separate book. And then there's the one which, I don't know if a lot of people have already got this one, and it's How to Relax and De-Stress While Quitting Drinking Alcohol. And there's another couple of bits and pieces in there. So it's all absolutely free. Just come over, leave your name and email address, and I'll send it over to you. Until next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Take care of yourself. Keep the alcohol out of your mouth for a start. Focus your mind on the future and not on the past. Focus your mind where you want to go in life and not where you've come from. And you'll find that one thing alone will repay you in massive dividends. So onwards and upwards. Take care. Bye now.